بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لقد كان لسبإ في مسكنهم آية جنتان عن يمين وشمال كلوا من رزق ربكم واشكروا له بلدة طيبة ورب غفور. My dear respected elders and brothers, mothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we are doing we're in the 34th surah of the Quran, that is Surah Saba. It's in the 22nd juz, and today we're starting from ayat number 15. In the first two rukus, or actually this is in the second ruku, the first ruku of course was addressing وَالَّذِينَ سَعُوا فِي آيَاتِنَا مُعَاجِزِينَ أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ مِّن رِجْزٍ أَلِيمٌ. Those who were making efforts against the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the disbelievers at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah ta'ala was addressing them and some of the things that they were saying against Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Allah ta'ala also spoke about those who are believing in the ayat and the verses of Allah ta'ala. وَيَرَى الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ مِنْ رَبِّكَ هُوَ الْحَقُّ. And those who have been endowed with knowledge, they believe that that which has been revealed from their Lord is the truth. So Allah ta'ala said a differentiation between the disbeliever and the believer. And the disbeliever and the believer, in most cases, where a person doesn't believe in Allah ta'ala, the word kufr actually means that in reality. It means to be ungrateful. So those who disbelieve many times are grateful and ungrateful for the ni'mats and blessings of Allah ta'ala. And those who believe, they are usually grateful and they are thanking the one who really is the mun'im, the one who really gives them the ni'mats of Allah ta'ala. They are grateful for the blessings that Allah ta'ala gives them. So in the second ruku, Allah ta'ala is giving two examples of two groups of people who are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first group is Dawood alayhi salam and Sulaiman alayhi salam, which we did last week. And these were two Nabis of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who were grateful to Allah ta'ala. And whenever they're mentioned in the Quran, Allah ta'ala always mentions with them the quality of shukr, because these two Nabis were given the ni'mats and blessings that nobody else was given before. Dawood alayhi salam, we did, that he was given, of course, the Nabuwat, and that's the greatest gift. He was a Nabi of Allah ta'ala. But with that also he was given very miraculous ni'mats of Allah ta'ala, like for example the animals in the mountains hymning the praises of Allah ta'ala and reciting the Zabur with him. And then you had also a ni'mah and a blessing and a miracle that he had was when he used to be able to touch the iron and steel, it would fold in his hands like bread and like dough. And then we had Sulaiman alayhi salam, which was a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the son of Dawood, and he was able to control the wind and control the traveling, where he would travel the distance of 1 month in only half a day. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him control over the jinnat, where he was able to complete incredible feats and incredible constructions, where Allah ta'ala mentioned about the different forts and statues and large plates and the large pots that he used to make for his great army. And then Allah ta'ala, of course, i'malu ala Dawud shukra, advising the family of Dawood alayhi salam that in lieu of all these ni'mats and in exchange of all these ni'mats, make sure that you show gratefulness to me in the form of a'mal, good deeds. Do good deeds as a token of gratitude to me. وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنْ عِبَادِيَ الشُّكُورِ, and very few from my servants are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then after that we did the small ayat, short ayat about the end of the life of Sulaiman alayhi salam, where the jinnat were carrying on doing their work, very difficult work they were toiling in, and they were thinking that Sulaiman alayhi salam had passed away, but Allah ta'ala made it such that he passed away standing up, and then the termites ate his cane that he was leaning on, and when his body fell over, the jinnat realized that that Sulaiman alayhi salam had actually passed away quite a while ago. And the reason why Allah Ta'ala did that to them is because many people started saying, and the Jinnat took advantage of this as well, they started saying that because of all these great constructions and the great buildings that they are building and the great ability of the Jinnat was being seen by the people, so the people started saying that the Jinnat have the ilm al-ghayb. They also know the unseen. And some of the Jinnat amongst them also were kind of complying with that and saying, yes, we do have the knowledge of the unseen, and there was a confusion and a wrong belief that was coming in the people, an exaggerated belief about the Jinnat. So Allah Ta'ala did this to them to show the people and show the Jinnat also that you actually know nothing at all. You don't know the unseen. If you did, then you would have been toiling and you wouldn't have been working so hard while Sulaiman alayhi salam was dead. You didn't even know that he had passed away. After mentioning those two servants of Allah Ta'ala who were shukr guzar, who are those who are grateful to Allah Ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala now mentions a group of people who unfortunately are ungrateful to Allah Ta'ala and disbelievers in Allah Ta'ala. And that is the Qawmi Saba. And that actually is the name of the surah also. So the name of the surah, it has been named because of this ayat of Quran, لَقَدْ كَانَ لِسَبَإٍ فِي مَسْكَنِهِمْ آيَةٌ. The people of Saba were situated in Yemen, what we now call Yemen, near Hadrul Maut. And in Quran, there's three mentions of the people of Saba. And there's three zamanas, there's three times of history where the mu'arrikhin like Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah, and Ibn Ishaq, they have mentioned these periods of times of the Saba. The first is what we call the Makarib Saba. The Makarib, this was the times of the kingdoms of the Himyari people. And in that time also was included a story that we did already about Bilqis, where Bilqis was the story of the queen of Saba, right? The queen of Saba, which we call her. And that was basically from 1100 BC to 550 BC. This is before Isa alayhi salam even came. So there was about a 600-year stretch, because BC goes backwards. And there was a 600-year stretch where this Himyari kings were ruling over the Saba people. And amongst them was one queen, and her name was Bilqis. And this happened within that time of Sulaiman alayhi salam. After that, you have the years from 550 to 116 BC, from 500 years to about 100 years before Isa alayhi salam. And that was the Mulki Saba, which they call, the kingdoms of Saba. And in there was these people, which they call the advent of the dam of the people of Saba, because Allah Ta'ala is going to mention that the dam had now broken on these people and drowned their lands, and then they ended up having to leave from there. And a couple of instances are mentioned, inshallah, in the ayats coming up. So that is the people of Saba, which we're talking about here, which was anywhere from 500 to 100 years before Isa alayhi salam. And then you have another advent, which Allah Ta'ala talked about, another time, which was about 300 years after Isa alayhi salam, and lasted all the way to 500 years after Isa alayhi salam. And that is mentioned in another ayat, we'll mention it there, the discussion about them. And Allah Ta'ala calls them in the Quran, Qawmi Tubba. Qawmi Tubba, it's mentioned in the Quran, Qawmi Tubba, that who was Tubba, that basically was, at that time, the Yemeni people took over the place of Yemen, that place there. And then after that, some of the Ethiopians came and took over. And then after that, the Himyaris, they took over again. And they became a very, very strong kingdom. And they ruled over Yemen, Ethiopia, and even parts of the land of Hijaz, the Arab lands. They lived over there. That's why they were called Qawmi Tubba. Tubba actually means to follow. So each land was following another, and they were all under one kingdom. So that's mentioned, Qawmi Tubba, in another surah, inshallah, when we get there, we'll mention some points about that and the differences between Aisha radhiyallahu and some other Sahaba, what they said, whether he was a prophet or not. But here we're talking about these people, and this is the people of Saba, and these were people who were disbelievers. Ibn Ishaq and Ibn Kathir mentioned as much as 13 Anbiya was sent to them. But unfortunately, they disbelieved in those Anbiya, and they chose the dalala and the misguidance, except many of the Mu'arrikhin say that they had the habit of worshipping the sun, which was also a habit at the time of Bilqis as well, who had worshipped the sun also. But alhamdulillah, Allah Ta'ala guided her through the efforts of Sulaiman alayhi salam. So here Allah Ta'ala says and mentions about them, لَقَدْ كَانَ لِسَبَإٍ فِي مَسْكَنِهِمْ آيَةٌ. That verily for the people of Saba, in the story of the people of Saba, فِي مَسْكَنِهِمْ, in their place of dwelling, their place of stay, their homes, ayatun, there is a sign, meaning a sign for the believers, a sign for everybody to understand that we should be grateful for the ni'mats of Allah Ta'ala that are given to us. And Allah mentions that what was that maskan and what was their living place? Jannatan. There was two gardens, an yamin wa shimal, which was on the right side and on the left side. Meaning they were surrounded by gardens, basically. It's mentioned that the Qawmi Saba, they lived in a valley. And on one side was the gardens, and on the other side was the gardens. And these gardens were so beautiful. Some Mufassirin, they have mentioned some things about those gardens, and some people have said, and some ulama muhakkik said that it could be exaggeration, but they mentioned, I'll mention to you, they would say that the women of the village or the women of their town, they would not even have to pick some of the fruits. They would just walk through with a basket on their head. And as they were walking through, when they finished up, the basket would be filled up with a bunch of fruits already from just the fruits falling off of the trees. And they would mention that if a person walked through there and happened to have some type of germ on their body, like lice or some type of germs on their body, and they would walk through that garden, by the time they finished, all the lice and everything, because of the purity of the air and because how beautiful the garden was and the purity of the garden, the lice and things would die just like that. So they had these beautiful gardens and vegetation and fruits, and it was a beautiful scene also. And they had a dam also, which of course we know to these days also people go and see dams. They had a dam that they had built, which they used to irrigate and used to use that to water those beautiful gardens that they had. So Allah Ta'ala mentions that what is this maskan and what was the beautiful place of stay? Jannatan an yamini wa shimal, two gardens to the right and to the left. Allah Ta'ala after that says, Kulu min rizqi rabbikum. Obviously on the tongue of the Nabi of the time, Allah Ta'ala sent the revelation and told that tell these people, Kulu min rizqi rabbikum. Eat from the sustenance of your Lord. This garden is all for you. Eat and enjoy yourself. There's no type of, you don't have to give, some on the side of a mountain and keep it for your Lord. No, eat whatever you want from there. Nice, eat good, washkurula, but show gratitude to Him. Be grateful to Him. Believe in Him. Worship Him. Be good with Him. بَلْدَةٌ طَيِّبَةٌ وَرَبٌّ غَفُورٌ يعني هذه بلدة طيبة. This is a very beautiful city that you have. وَرَبٌّ غَفُورٌ وَرَبُّكَ رَبٌّ غَفُورٌ. And your Lord, He's a forgiving Lord. Meaning, you have a beautiful land which He's given you, and all you have to do is be on the deen of Allah Ta'ala, make tawbah for your sins, and He's ready to forgive you. What better thing than that? You got the dunya and you got the akhirah. So great opportunities were put before them by the Nabis of those times, and they would tell them this. What did they do and what was their reaction? فأعرضوا فأرسلنا عليهم سيل العرم وبدلناهم بجنتين ذواتي أكل خمط وأثل وشيء من سدر قليل. Allah Ta'ala says, فَأَعْرَضُوا, they rejected it. They did not want to do the tawheed, and they did not want to believe in Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And some can say that even they ended up killing some of these prophets. Na'udhu billah. فَأَرْسَلْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ سَيْلَ الْعَرَمِ. Sail means a flood, and Adam means a dam, which holds the water, a large wall, which holds and conserves the water for a time when it's needed. So we sent upon them Sayl al-Aram, we sent upon them a flood of the dam. That was the dam that they had there. Some ulama say that it's simply Allah Ta'ala has not mentioned the reason for it, how it happened. Some ulama say that simply just as a dam collapses, it collapsed. And you do get some riwayat from the Mufassirin, Allah Ta'ala knows best, that Allah Ta'ala sent rats there and they continuously chewed at the roots and at the base of the wall that was holding the water, and eventually it caved in and the wall broke, and then that water came down and flooded their gardens and their houses and obviously destroyed everything. Because we know the vegetation is such that you're supposed to give the water the proper amount to it. If you flood it, then those gardens and stuff will be destroyed. So Allah Ta'ala says, وَبَدَّلْنَاهُمْ بِجَنَّتَيْهِمْ جَنَّتَيْنِ, and we exchange their 2 gardens with 2 other gardens. We gave them 2 other gardens now. Now you want to see what a real, Allah Ta'ala says, you want to see what real garden I can give you? ذَوَاتَيْ أُكُلٍ خَمْطٍ. That garden, the wate means from that, which means possessing. For example, you say dhul mal, one who possesses money. So the wate means 2 gardens which were possessing ukul. Ukul means fruits. They were possessing fruits, khamtin, which were bitter. You get some fruits that they look beautiful, they grow, you see them, mashallah, cut them off, take a bite, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Right? You can't use them. They're used for medicine. Maybe they're used for some type of achar, and sometimes they're not used at all. They're not eaten. These are not eaten. They're, mashallah, they're growing up there, and some of the animals and bugs and stuff, they come and eat them. But insan cannot eat these things. Some of them are very hard. So khamt means bitter, bad in taste. So that was the first thing. They were getting fruit still, but the fruits were not being able to be used by them and eaten by them. So bitter fruits, wa'athlin. And before they had these beautiful flowers and everything, now we gave them athl. Athl is what we call the tamarisk bush. It's a bush that's just a dry bush with brown, crunchy, small little leaves in it, a lot of twigs, not a beautiful thing. Sometimes, I don't know if you guys, I know you're very pious people, maybe you've seen in some movie or something, sometimes there's in a cowboy movie, that little bush that's flying around the floor. It kind of looks like that. That's not it. But it kind of looks like that, but it's situated on the ground. It's not flying around, and that's how the bush was. So this is a dry bush, which gives no fruit at all. Actually, when you go near it, you can get scratched from it, and it's very ugly as well. So we put that there. وَشَيْءٍ مِّن سِدْرٍ قَلِيلٍ, يعني وَشَيْءٍ قَلِيلٍ مِّن سِدْرٍ. You guys have heard the name Sidratul Muntaha, right? And when you go all the way up to the skies before the Arsh, Sidratul Muntaha is there. That's where Ibrahim alayhi salam was. And that's where the great low tree is. It's a gigantic tree. Rasulullah saw it in Mi'raj. And it's a big, beautiful tree. And they got the low trees as well. And low trees, they do have a beauty to them. They're large. And they give a lot of shade as well. But in regards to the fruit that it gives off, the lot, that is also a fruit that inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. You'll have to say that when you bite into it. It's a very, very untasty fruit, very hard. You can barely cut it with a knife, and it's not something that anybody eats. But these trees, of course, the benefit of them is they're very, very large, and they can provide a large amount of shade also. Beautiful shade they give. But that's why Allah Ta'ala, He gave it to them. What He said? Shayin qaleel. A few sidr, a few trees, these low trees I gave them. Not a lot. If you gave them a lot, then okay, at least we got shade. There was one mile over there, another one over there, another one over there. By the time you walked to the other, you already needed water and stuff. They lost their water. They had no food. So these trees were spotty around in their garden, but really not giving any benefit because they were so far away from each other, and they were not really beneficial compared to the other trees that they had, which were growing fruits and vegetables and all different types of beautiful things were there. So Allah Ta'ala changed their garden from beautiful to one of the worst and most disgusting gardens that this world has ever seen. And what was the reason why? Because of i'raf. They rejected a simple message that was given to them, and that's why the ulama always are saying that we should be careful in regards to rejecting the ahkam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should try to make amal, because these type of things can have bad effects on our rizq, and bad effects on our lands, and bad effects in our lives also, and the ni'mat that Allah ta'ala gave them. So Allah Ta'ala says after that, ذَلِكَ جَزَيْنَاهُمْ بِمَا كَفَرُوا وَهَلْ نُجَازِي إِلَّا الْكَفُورِ. Allah Ta'ala said, ذَلِكَ جَزَيْنَاهُمْ. This was their punishment, بِمَا كَفَرُوا, because of their disbelief. Yani بِكُفْرِهِمْ. This was because they disbelieved, so this was their jaza, and this was their redemption, this was their retribution and their revenge, and this was their punishment because of their disbelief. وَهَلْ نُجَازِي إِلَّا الْكُفُورِ. And we do not punish anyone except for those who are ungrateful. وَهَلْ نُجَازِي إِلَّا الْكُفُورِ. Hal means, Yani, here, لَا نُجَازِي إِلَّا الْكُفُورِ. We only punish and we only show retribution, give retribution to those who are ungrateful to us. If you're grateful to us, forget about any retribution. لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ لَإِنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. I will give you more, and I will, mashallah, expand whatever risk and whatever ni'mah you are having. وَلَإِنْ كَفَرْتُمْ إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. Allah Ta'ala, of course, here the ulama have mentioned, Allah Ta'ala should have said, وَلَإِنْ كَفَرْتُمْ, and if you do kufr, then I will give you less. But Allah didn't say that. Allah left it majhul and left it very ambiguous. لَإِنْ كَفَرْتُمْ, if you show ungratefulness, إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. My punishment is very, very severe. You won't be able to handle it. So therefore, be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the things that He's given. After this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions another quality of them. Because these people, they went through this, and they also had a very, very beautiful ni'mah of Allah ta'ala, because at that time, traveling was a big problem. Of course, today, anyone who had to travel knows a big problem today. Also, with the rain, everything, traveling is always a problem. But that's why they say suffer, right? In English, we say the word in Arabic is suffer because you suffer a lot. Because you suffer a lot. That's not the reason why they said in Arabic, but you just connect it with the English and you can make a little bit of a cute word there, that when you go for suffer, you suffer a lot. So suffer has always been something difficult, but of course now, because of airplanes and trains and cars and GPS and you know, I just went flying, I just went traveling to last week to Canada, and you know, you just have all the pass on your phone now. You just put it in your phone, everything's done there. It's so easy. But of course, still, I mean, we'd rather be at our homes than flying in the air 20,000 feet in the sky. But at the time of them, it was even more difficult because you had to, of course, have your horses and your animals, and you had to take everything in carriages. And then we know that you are traveling in the forest. It's not like it's the highway now, and you know, all the animals have been brushed away. No. You know, you had wild animals, and you had the bandits who were trying to steal your things. And then when you had long distances between lands, you don't know if you're going to make it or not, if the food gets spoiled, all these type of things you had to deal with when you were traveling at that time. Allah Ta'ala, for the people of Sabah, He made it very easy for them. He made it very easy for them. They would, for example, travel from the morning time, let's say 7 o'clock they took off. By the time 10 o'clock came, they were already seeing the minarets and all of the buildings from the next city. And not only that, they were not entering into a strange city, those were their friends also. And over there, they would go and have breakfast over there. They would have a little breakfast there. Then after that, they would travel again for another couple of hours. By 12:30, 1 o'clock, they would already see the next town. And over there, they'd have their lunch and enjoy themselves there and meet with the people. Then after that, they would travel again. And after a few hours, they would see another town and was their friends again. And there, not even they had the dinner, they would have the chai and cookies, you know. That's when you really are in a good state. When you can have the chai and the cookies and relax and have a little something after the asr time. So that's when you really enjoy yourself. So they would have a little food there, and then they would carry on, and then right before the night came, they would reach the next town, and there they would sleep and have a nice dinner and enjoy themselves. So Allah Ta'ala had given them this one. Other people, when they were traveling, didn't know anybody. The next town was after 4 or 5 days. They would be in great difficulty. The lions would be running after them, and the tigers, and all of the bandits also would be, trying to kill them and take their things. So there was great difficulty in traveling at that time, but for the people of Sabah, it was very, very easy. So this was the second ni'mah that they had, but in a very strange and weird way, they rejected this ni'mah, and they rejected this blessing, and they showed ungratefulness towards it. And we'll show you how they did that. Allah Ta'ala says, وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ وَبَيْنَ الْقُرَى الَّتِي بَارَكْنَا فِيهَا قُرًى ظَاهِرَةً وَقَدَّرْنَا فِيهَا السَّيْرَ. سيروا فيها ليالي وأياما آمنين. Allah Ta'ala said, and we made between them and between the city that we put a lot of blessings in. This would be Sham, because they would travel to Sham. Sham was always a center point of business and a vacation area. People would go there, the beautiful lands of Sham, the olive oil, all that stuff. And people would go and bring their products there. They would bring products back to Sham. So a great center point of business and marketing and stuff at that time. So Allah Ta'ala, of course, has mentioned there's many places. So this could be Sham and Philistine and these areas where Allah Ta'ala had put a lot of blessing there. And they were from Yemen. They would go travel there. So between them and the land of Sham, Quran Dahiratan, there were cities that were very clear, meaning you can see them from a distance. That the buildings and everything were very easily seen after only a little travel. وَقَدَّرْنَا فِيهَا السَّيْرَ, and we estimated in there the time of travel. They knew that when we leave from here, inshallah, by 11 o'clock, we'll be at the next town. Which was something that other people traveling did not know. They said, okay, we're going to leave now. It's Tuesday. Inshallah, hopefully we'll get there by Monday. If everything works out, if we don't get killed, and if the bandits don't, and if we get by that place that everyone had died last time, hopefully, inshallah, and we're sleeping in the trees at nighttime, and hopefully by Monday we'll get there. But Allah knows best. This is how they would travel. But these people know. They said, by 11 o'clock we should be there. The place is free, nice road. We're going to get there nicely. So this is what they would do. وَقَدَّرْنَا فِيهَا السَّيْرَ, Allah Ta'ala said, I made it such for them that I estimate. Qaddarna means to estimate. I estimated in there, we estimated in there, their time of travel. Allah Ta'ala then said, Siru fiha. Obviously, on the lisan and on the tongue of their anbiya, or whoever was the pious people at that time, Allah Ta'ala says, Siru fiha. We told our Nabi that tell them, Siru fiha layali. You can travel in there in the nighttime, wa ayyamin, and in the daytime, aminin, in a state of safety. They could even travel in the middle of the night, there'd be nothing wrong with them. They would have beautiful travels whatever time they wanted. What did they do? Some people, in these days also we have a lot of them. Allah Ta'ala made things very easy for them. Right outside is a vegetable store. They can get their vegetables from there and fruit. Allah Ta'ala has given them life on the first floor of a house. And very, very nice. They don't have to climb any mountains or anything, but you'll find them, they still want to go up the mountain. And the fruits and vegetables are not good from the store. They want to go pick them themselves and drive 1 hour and pick the vegetables and fruits and waste their time. And the water, they don't have to go in there. They don't have to travel in the water. But every weekend they're on the boat and they're in the middle of the waves. And they are going over there and they are fishing and doing all these very, very like a voyage. Everything is a voyage and a big challenge for them. These type of things. These people seem to be like this also. They wanted a little excitement in their life. And they would say, you know what? I heard the other people, at nighttime the lions are chasing them. And we sleep nicely in the town. I want to know how it feels to get chased by a lion. It's nice. And the bandits are fighting with them and killing them at night. That sounds exciting. That sounds real exciting. I wish we can do that also. And these are the type of things. And some ulama say that no, that they actually had takabbur in them, and because they were from the land of Saba, and because they had fruits and vegetables and great conveyances and things like that. So because their travels were short, they did not have to take a lot of things with them. They couldn't. When travels are short, you don't have to take big conveyances and a lot of fruits. Everything will go bad. So they couldn't show off all their stuff. They couldn't show off all their things because of their easy travels. So they said, I wish the travels were a little farther, so we had to pack all our stuff. And then when we get to the town, everybody can see that, wow, look at the entourage this guy's coming with. Look at all the stuff. And the poor people can have knowledge and they can have the desire to have our things. And we can show off how much beautiful stuff we have. So some ulama say that this was the reason why they said what they're going to say. What they said? فَقَالُوا رَبَّنَا بَاعِدْ بَيْنَ أَسْفَارِنَا وَظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ فجعلناهم أحاديث ومزقناهم كل ممزق إن في ذلك لآيات لكل صبار شكور. Allah Ta'ala says, فَقَالُوا رَبَّنَا. And they said, oh our Lord, They made dua for this also. They were rejecting their Lord, but for these things they're making dua for it. Ba'id bayna asfarina. Make our travels farther, please. Make it far for us. And this is what I'm talking about. Either they had some adventurous attitude where they wanted now to have a little bit more adventure in their travels, or because they wanted to show off and have a longer travel so they could bring more of their goods and the people in the town could see how rich and how great these people were. But anyway, they rejected this ni'mah of Allah Ta'ala and the ease of Allah Ta'ala. They wanted to make it hard. So Allah Ta'ala said, وَظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ, and they oppressed their own selves. By asking for this and by doing their kufr, they oppressed their own self. فَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ أَحَادِيث, and we made them into stories. فَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ أَحَادِيث, stories that people can be telling them years after, like we are today. Sitting thousands of years after, we talked about this. This is 550, 100 years before Isa alayhi salam, and we're sitting here talking about it. That who were the people of Saba, and what they did, and what land they had, and what different things they were ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ta'ala made them into a story. That's it. There's no reality to them really after that. And Allah Ta'ala says also, وَمَزَّقَنَاهُمْ كُلَّ مُمَزَّقٍ, and we completely disperse them. Of course, everybody has a family. We all have families. Your father, your mother, your grandfather. I come from this progeny, this family. My last name is this. We're from this land. There's some history about our families. But you get some people in America, it's happening in rampant pace, where people don't have any family line. Right? He doesn't know who his father is. Right? Even us, grandfather, yes. Great-grandfather, yes. After that, we really don't know. But if we do some tahqiq, we'll find out. There's always a family member who knows that, no, you're going back to the... But you have people in America who what? Who's your father? I don't know. My mother's side, yes, but my father's side, I don't know. Or even the mother's side, I don't know who my mother is. Many people like this. And it's a very sad situation for those people. What happened with these people, they were so strong, so great, the ni'mats of Allah Ta'ala, after the Sayyid al-Aram, because what happened was they were doing this and they said this, and the Sayyid al-Aram, the flood that happened to them was actually the end punishment that happened to them. Because they had no land left, it was flooded, they had to go to different places. And they dispersed to different towns and cities. And maybe if you had an uncle, he went to the west. If you had an aunt, she went to the east. And you were in the north. And they were all spread out in different towns and cities that eventually their last names and their progenies became, not even a thing to talk about. They had no type of history anymore. They would say that, yes, we were from the people of Saba. Who else is there? It's me by myself here. I married into your people. That's it, done. I don't know where my uncle is. I don't know where my aunt is. And this is what happened to them. That's what وَمَزَّقَنَاهُمْ كُلَّ مُمَزَّقٍ. We dispersed them completely, and they had no other family lines anymore, and all their families were finished. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ, Allah Ta'ala says, there are signs in that. لِكُلِّ صَبَّارٍ شَكُورٍ, for every single person who has sabr and patience, and shakur, and everyone who's grateful. The reason why Allah Ta'ala brings these qualities is because, of course, the travels that they had, even though it was so nice and beautiful, in that they had sabr, didn't have sabr, and that they weren't grateful. So Allah Ta'ala says that this is a sign for every single person who has sabr. If Allah Ta'ala is making it easy for you, then the qualities that you're supposed to do is what? You're supposed to have sabr and patience on anything. Even you have to have the sabr and the ni'mah sometimes also, right? Sometimes Allah Ta'ala gives us a ni'mah. You have a 3-bedroom house, and now you're complaining all day because I want the 5-bedroom now. Now we must have that. And Allah Ta'ala gives you a certain car, and now you're complaining so much and bothering everybody that I've got to have that new car, I've got to have this. This is the base sabri. This is the impatience we have with the ni'mats of Allah Ta'ala. Shakur, we should be patient with the ni'mats of Allah Ta'ala, patient even in any difficulties, because most people are not going to be able to travel like the people of Sabah. So make sure you're completely and always having sabr and patience, and also make sure that you are having the gratitude and showing the thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After this, Allah ta'ala talks about the shaitan, who of course we call sababul hawa, right? He's one of the means of people becoming misguided. Because the subject is changing, inshallah, we will do that next week and finish off on the people of Sabah. May Allah ta'ala give us the ability to show gratefulness for His ni'mats and the ni'mat of His deen also, which we talked about in the Jummah. And the way that we can show, and the most beautiful, like we say with our madrasa students, right, when the students want to bring fruits and vegetables to us, and sometimes they put an apple on the desk, and they'll want to buy us a sandwich to the ustad. And I always tell them that the best khidmah you can do is learn your sabak. That's the best khidmah. In the same way, the best way that we can show gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that we do ibadah. Allah ta'ala wants us, i'malu ala Dawud shukra. That we do ibadah, this is the way of saying thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah ta'ala give us tawfiq, yes? We don't have to say Merry Christmas. We can say have a safe holiday and things like this. The whole Merry Christmas and stuff we don't have to say. There's words that we can use. We don't break the rules, we bend them. So we can say have a safe holiday and have a safe time, and I hope you enjoy your days, things like this. But the whole Merry Christmas thing, we don't have to say all that. Merry Christmas is a very open thing, and it has to do with Christ and stuff like that, and we don't believe in that stuff. So we should be careful with our wording, but we can say that we can use our words in the right way. That doesn't sound so much like that. Because it's an aqidah issue, right? It's not the same like Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving was batni, it's not such a big thing, because that is more just of a cultural thing. It has nothing to do with really aqidah. But because of Christmas has to do with aqidah, aqidahs that are, I told you today, that Allah Ta'ala says that تَكَادُ السَّمَاوَاتُ يَتَفَطَّرْنَ مِنْهُ. That statement that a person says that Rahman or Allah has a son, when they say that, it's as if the sky is about to crack because of the anger of Allah Ta'ala when they say that type of thing. So this is, we have the haqiqat, we know the reality of deen. We know that in this world, people could be dancing and jumping around. وَلَا يَغُرُّكَ تَقَلُّبُهُمْ فِي الْبِلَادِ. Allah Ta'ala says, them walking around in the market areas with their bags and having fun and joking and everyone's laughing. Don't let that deceive you. What's coming in the akhirah is very, very terrible and horrifying. So the reality of the situation is that yes, people are happy and they're laughing and having a good time, but the weighty, detrimental thing that's being said and believed here is that na'udhu billah, astaghfirullah, is saying that the birth of the Son of God happened. Right? And this is something which is very terrible, which Muslims should not be involved in. So inshallah, we can tell them, have a nice holiday, wish them well, and we don't start fighting with them and things like this, and we don't start barging in on their celebrations and stuff like this, but we don't take part. We don't take part. We give ta'aleem to our families also, that we are not part of that. And they're not part of our holidays. They're not coming here for Eid. And maybe 1, 2 of them come and say Eid Mubarak and stuff like that. And yes? No, you can do it after. Do it after Christmas. Yeah, after Christmas. Yeah, after Christmas you can do it. They'll appreciate it because all their cookies will be finished for the Christmas, so they'll be happy. And actually, not even in Christmas, if what? If you throughout the year are sending this stuff, throughout the year, without any holidays or anything, so if we're sending food and things like that, then they would understand that there's no disrespect when we're not sending. If we send throughout the year, we always have some nice food, sometimes our families are cooking the nice biryani or the nice thing, and we send to them throughout the year, then it's very easy for us to say, listen, I know it's your Christmas holiday and I would send it to you, but for these reasons we're not sending. They'll understand. This person is not evil. They send me food all the time, and they'll be able to listen to you, and you've got a little bit of weight on your side also, because they send you food all the time. Now you can explain to them these type of things. But now Christmas comes, we can send them all the time. Now we're just sending them that, and it happens. I mean, the first card I used to get when I was a non-Muslim for the Christmas was the Muslims upstairs. They would send the first Christmas card every year, Merry Christmas and everything. And then those people after that started following Deen and all the barakah and everything, and then there were some of their family members were the reason why I accepted Islam later on. So, alhamdulillah, so we try, inshallah, to be respectful to others, but at the same time respectful to Allah and His Deen. May Allah give us tawfiq.